great power to all of our organizations and allows us to hit the targets that we're all striving for. Qlik now offers the ability to seamlessly integrate and transform our data to gain insights and drive business outcomes. But how do we do this? Well, we can start leveraging the Qlik data fabric. This is an ecosystem that has three main pillars to focus on. The first one is data integration, and this is simply the ability to capture in real time our data from our multiple disparate data sources, from relational databases to APIs to flat files, you name it, but bringing it all together in one workflow. The second pillar, the second piece of this is the data integrity and governance, which is a key role of this. Using the Talon toolset, we can drive data quality and governance. This effort can involve numerous members across your team that include IT, SMEs, and various other business analysts to help you ensure that your data is accurate and useful for your organization. The final pillar is the application integration. So this is where we take that trusted data and bring it together to provide those powerful analytical insights so that you can drive business outcomes and hit your targets. That sounds great, Jeff, but how is my organization going to be able to get this done? Well, first and foremost, we need to recognize that this is a team sport. To be successful and win, the team needs to be able to have all the players performing the roles timely, accurately, and completely, all on target. Across our own organizations, we have key players who each hold critical roles to the organization or team to fully realize the power of our data. Most of us have data engineers and or data architects who create reusable data stores for us to access. You also have business analysts who go through and work to cleanse and prepare the data to make sure it's right for the business to use. Data scientists go through and they need this data to provide us the predictive and prescriptive insights using our data, using tools like Qlik AutoML. And finally, our business users need to be able to assimilate this data and these insights from our data scientists to achieve our organizational goals using solutions like Qlik Cloud. Each team member is critical to this total game plan. So the next question you're probably asking, and many of you have been asking through this journey, is, should I consider Talon? Well, we all have come to love Qlik and all that it encompasses, and we have to recognize that Qlik has tremendous power in its existing tool sets to allow us, using Qlik scripting, to bring data sets together in a very robust manner. We have all come to love these things, and first and foremost, that is not changing. That functionality is still staying there. But with that, some organizations have the need for real-time governed data to be accessible to the Qlik analytics, along with other business processes systems such as your AI or machine learning models. Here's where Talon can fit in nicely into your organization. The Talon solution solves this dilemma by creating real-time data pipelines into data stores of your choice while extending the workflow to include the right business resources to clean and prepare the data for yourselves. Today, we'll take the opportunity to see this in an end-to-end cycle in action. You will briefly see from the various team members in action. To start, Robert will demonstrate the role of the data engineer, integrating together multiple CRM solutions into a single data pipeline. Next, he will walk through the role of a business analyst or a SME who is going to play the role of creating some data cleansing activities that's going to be integrated back into that workflow. And then he's going to take it one step further and show you how a data steward will continue on an ongoing basis to make sure the data is accurate and then impacting the result set so that the organization isn't slowed down. And finally, Igor is going to step in at the end and bring it all together, showing you how this data can easily be then brought together and assimilated in a Qlik Cloud application. So that is the target for our time together. And I hope you're all excited. Please ask your questions. And at this point, Robert, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Like everyone said, my name is Rob Schoenfeld. I'm part of the Qlik acquisition, part of recently Talon Legacy. Looking forward to working with the team and everyone on the webinar today. Let me go ahead and share my screen and make sure that's working, because that would be helpful. There we go. So today we're really going to talk about data quality, and as Jeff talked about, organizational enablement across the organization. The story we're going to discuss is Customer 360. We'll get into a little bit more details of what that looks like on the next slide. We're also going to talk about different personas within your organization and how they can take data quality to the next levels from our standpoint. This is going to include our data integration solution, Talent Studio, our most mature ability to create pipelines to move data from source to target. Data preparation, being able to take action on data from a business personas, or talent data stewardship. This is where you might have a one-off where you can't perform a certain function, and this is where you can get the business involved to help take action on the data. Jump to the next screen. So the current problem we have is Customer 360. The goal here is we want to be able to find the golden record from 3 disparate sources. These sources right now include CRM, SaaS applications, and third-party marketing leads. Using Talon's technology, we're going to be able to cleanse, consolidate, profile, and deduplicate the majority of these records. And due to the workflow that we talked about, team sport engaging business personas and data engineering personas at the same time, we can then say if we're not successfully able to deduplicate data, we can get help from multiple facets. Data preparation to help cleanse, curate, and enrich the data, and data stewardships to help identify potential one-offs where we can't deduplicate and make that decision for us as they are subject matter experts in the solution. Let's talk a little bit about data quality. Really, data quality within Talent is multifaceted, meaning we want to be able to extend data quality through different points within the Talent data fabric. This includes the business personas like we previously discussed, as well as Talent Studio, and being able to take action on these data quality initiatives at multiple points. Through Talent Data Quality, we offer services such as data discovery, profiling, standardization, like we talked about through data prep and a couple other locations, consolidation abilities where we're matching, deduplicating, doing a survivalship initiative, really whatever, monitoring and operationalizing and automation of a lot of these efforts without having to, do a lot of engagement from our perspective. This now leads into Talent Studio, where we can go in and build out these data pipelines and even do integration with the broader Talent data fabric to get help from business users to make data and data quality to the next level within your organization. So let's go ahead and take a look at Talent Studio. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I just want to set some context on the UI. Talent Studio is an Eclipse-based solution. On the far right under repository, this is where you can come in, build out your workflows, aka what we call Talent jobs or pipelines. You can use all those terms to describe what we're doing here. Under that, we have the ability to also create context to parameterize certain things within jobs. So if you have lower environments, if you have different API keys, anything like that that you might need to parameterize to do testing against, you can build that in your workflows. Furthermore, you can also do definitions one time within the solution. So if you have a connection to a database or a SaaS application within the solution that you want to make connectivity to, you can define once and leverage across all jobs within the solution. We also support code repository for collaboration, and the backend technologies are what you would call open source, meaning that as you build out these workflows in a low code way, you're not necessarily going to have to be a developer, but you can extend Talon with Java or other languages. But just know that we do have the ability to write basic Java on the back end while you develop these jobs. In the middle is the job that we've actually created for this use case. There's a couple different decision trees and points. I'll get to those in just 1 minute. Just some other things to note. There's a palette that allows you to show all the different connectors and components that are available to you, as well as a profiling tool within Talent Studio that allows you to do data quality at rest, do regular expression or SQL expression recognition to potentially find data issues at rest, and even automate some of those processes so you can make sure your data, again, is at the highest quality levels across multiple points. Data Mapper allows you to do more advanced data integration with complex hierarchies such as EDI or HL7 if you're in the healthcare or manufacturing markets. And let's go ahead and talk about this job here. Again, going back to the diagram we showcased in just a few moments ago, we talked about 3 disparate sources and the need to consolidate those to deduplicate or run some business rules against that to really find the golden record and be able to land that in our data warehouse for use across the organization. Through this job, we're going to take these 3 disparate data sources. We're going to standardize them using ETL transformations, that's in-flight transformations. Then we're going to unite these 3 data sets together with some in-flight transformations to be able to identify the sources, and that could be useful downstream, and we'll explain that when we get into our data stewardship and our data prep applications. From here, we're going to apply what's called a deduplication rule or configuration against this data set. We can set a threshold, and anything above a certain threshold, we can say we feel confident that we've successfully deduplicated this data set and land that into Snowflake. Now, Talend is what we call application, or pardon me, platform agnostic, meaning this very well could be a SQL server, this could be a flat file, really anything that you might want to land data into. So that we're very flexible. We can coexist in on-prem scenarios, a combination of on-prem VPC, AWS, etc., very easily within our solution. The other part of this decision tree is if we can't successfully deduplicate, we're going to say, hey, let's leverage our business assets who might be intimate with the data, subject matter experts of that data, to help identify the record of truth, and then we can extract that data set out and then ultimately land it into Snowflake or our data warehouse of choice, as well as even maybe leverage that to go back to our source systems and make updates to our customer data, again, ensuring data quality is at the highest level within the organization.
So Robert, just a second here. So basically at this moment right here within Talend Studio, you have simply drug on components that you just talked about earlier, pulling different data sets and built this workflow. So this is the entire data pipeline we're looking at in front of us.
Exactly.
And you didn't have to write any custom code to make these things happen. You just had to configure the objects that connect to data sources and such.
That's correct.
Wow. So and then we're going to hit our targeted data source. So in this case, our target is Snowflake.
Correct. That's the optimal target that we want to land into.
Very good.
Perfect. And going back to one of Jeff's points, just note that again, because we're built on Talend's built on open source technologies, you can deploy jobs in a number of different ways. You can go directly down to a jar file and initiate that or orchestrate that execution in any way you want. My superior likes to joke that if a toaster can run Talend or Java, so it can also run a Talend job. So with that, let's jump from our data engineering persona and jump into some of our business engineering personas and show how we can leverage assets across the organization to really take data quality to the next level. So we talked about Talend Studio, our data integration solution within Talend. Let's talk about data preparation. Data preparation is a self-service application that can be used in tandem with Talend Studio, which we'll get to in just a moment, or as self-service. This allows business users to load in data from different data sources, nearly any data source that Talend Studio can also load in, land it into a very user-friendly UI or intuitive UI, very Excel-esque, rows and columns, do data profiling behind the scenes to identify potential issues, and then even leverage those same assets across multiple points within Talend Data Fabric. So there's really no need to rinse and repeat over and over again. You can leverage this particular tool to do data quality or build out data rules in a number of different facets. With that, let's go ahead and demonstrate that. So I'm going to flip between Talend Studio to our Talend Cloud tenant. This is the splash page that you would see when you land into Talend Cloud. And there's a number of applications that you have access to, so you can click on those. You can also watch short tutorials that I would encourage everyone to view because it helps you get up to speed very quickly. Or we can simply click in the left-hand corner and select the source or application of our choice. I'm going to jump into data preparation and give you just a high-level overview of some of the different components available. Semantic types are basically pattern recognition capabilities, whether there be regex or other pattern recognitions to help identify issues within the solution. This is really the foundational secret sauce of data preparation and even data stewardship, as you'll see in just a moment. This allows you to build out different recognition things like airport codes, zip codes, different styles of formatting within phone numbers, etc. Talend provides a bunch out of the box, but you can also import or create your own as you would like or need. Connections and databases allow you to make connections to like various databases, REST endpoints, etc. Data sets allow you to work within those data sets. So this could be a flat file, this could be a database table, a spreadsheet, really whatever you would need from that perspective. Again, I do like to highlight the platform agnostic capabilities of Talend. Preparations are the actual workings within a data set. So if I click on preparation, let's go ahead and look at a customer 360 data set that is very similar to the marketing leads data set down here within our Talend job. So I'm going to click on that and load it. While it's loading, I'm going to give you just another UI overview. On the far left is a set of recipe or a set of filters or what we call a recipe within Talend Data Prep that I've applied to that data. In the middle is a set of rows and columns like I discussed. On the far right, let me move this out of the way, thank you, is a set of functions that I can apply to data sets. and they will update or change behind the scenes to try to identify ones that might be the most useful to you as you move between the columns. Below that is a set of analytics that are also available to you, and they also update depending on the type of data and semantic type. For example, wow, that's pretty cool. They're all spread across evenly, but in this scenario, this would identify a heat map of the US and the distribution of your record sets. Now, be advised that this data set is only pulling a sample of the data set. It's not actually altering the underlying data. It's just applying the filters kind of in a WYSIWYG format. And then once you export the data out, you can then apply those changes as you load the data out with a number of different options. Coming back to the UI,
I'm going to pause you for a second. Oh, I was going to say, he used the word WYSIWYG. If that's not worth 2 sips of a drink, I don't know what is. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
I was going to say, because this is actually hitting your targeted data set, right? That you're actually going after, right? So this is hitting that data set, and it's giving you these easy to use ability to go through and start matching these things to achieve your end goal, your end target.
Exactly. A couple other things to mention. On the top, you're going to see the name of the fields. Below that, you're going to see a gray area. This is the semantic type that we were talking previously that machine learning has identified and applied to this data set. So what this is, the reason why this is so cool is it's going to identify potential issues within the data. So for example, if I come up and remove zip code from my filter or my recipe, you're going to see a little green bar, some with black, some with red. And what this is indicating is anything under the green is valid records. Anything black means that there's an empty or a null value. Anything red means that particular semantic type or that particular pattern doesn't work with the data set that it's been identified as. In this case, this is US zip code. Why don't we take a look at what's bad about this data and take some action on it? So I'm going to click on zip code. We're going to pull up the bad data set. And as you can see, all these data sets, all these zip codes are back east. And again, I'm wearing that business user subject matter expert hat in this case, not necessarily a data engineer. So what happened is we probably got a source of data in that third-party marketing leads that didn't include a leading zero. So I can go ahead and click add character. We're going to add some extra characters. I want to add a leading zero to the left-hand position and set it to 5. Click submit. And now I've just enriched, curated, and added quality to the data without being a data engineer. From here, we have couple of
you just fixed your data. You just fixed your data in that recipe. Can you integrate it back into Studio?
That's a great question. You can actually integrate it back into Studio or export it as you need. So if I wanted to take this data set right now, let's say I have a marketing campaign, and I wanted to make sure that all the data sets are matching, phone numbers are formatted, standardized, etc. I can export it out in a flat file and do what I need to with that data set. Furthermore, I can come back to Talent Studio, and you're going to identify a component right here called data preparation. What this allows you to do is take this set of recipes, again, taking that expertise from that business user, and apply it at runtime to similar data sets within your Talent job. So this is where you get the ability to not have to rinse and repeat over and over again, and leverage multiple assets across the organization to take data quality to the next level.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff. So let's talk about data stewardship. Data stewardship has very similar elements to data preparation. Again, we want to create a UI and experience that's very consolidated or easy to use. We don't want there to be a lot of overhead with these types of tools that we make available within the broader Talent data fabric. So coming back to our studio right here, we mentioned there was a decision tree right here. If we're able to successfully deduplicate and land into the target, drink up, we can then say, hey, if we don't feel confident in the configuration based on the data set that we ran in the pipeline, let's take these one-offs, land them into data stewardship, assign a task to a business user, and I help them identify that there's a potential issue that they might need to work with or take action on. And this is where data stewardship comes in. You can drive data quality or different types of data initiatives that we call campaigns within data stewardship, which I'll showcase in just a moment. It's got point and click curation and approval processes. It's got a role-based workflow, which means you can get multiple users involved. Let's say you want one person to do the data consolidation and you want to have a validation person, like maybe a lead or someone more senior, to make sure that those changes are valid before ultimately completing that workflow. You can apply that within there. There's also SLA enforcement, so you can get notifications if certain tasks haven't been worked upon. And there's also an audit trail and tracking. So you can go in, again, as the workflow user, see what's changed over time, why it's changed, and again, make an educated decision if we need to kick that back or make additional enhancements to that particular data set. We also supports validation of matching and deduplication of tasks in the backend, again, depending on the campaign. And then we also apply different dashboards and monitoring on top of that data set. This allows you to go in and see what's been done over time so you can help move tasks along from a high level standpoint. And this is what we're going to demonstrate next. So let me go ahead and move from data preparation to data stewardship. And I'm not going to get too detailed, but just understand that semantic types are reusable across data prep and data stewardship. So if you need to create a certain type of pattern semantic type in one, you can leverage it across both applications. Again, we want Talon Data Fabric to be reusable across multiple points, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel or rinse and repeat over and over again. Campaigns are going to be the various types of data work that you do. In this case, we're going to demonstrate a merging campaign. And this is going to be data that we ultimately landed based on this decision tree in that we couldn't successfully deduplicate. I do want to highlight the monitoring capabilities. We do provide dashboarding again so you can see what's happened over time, how long it's taken to resolve tasks, as well as I'll add your own dashboards in here for additional monitoring or customization as you need. If I click on the little sprocket, this is going to show the overall configuration of said data set. And in here, this allows you to select the original campaign, apply different rights to the various roles within the campaign. So you can say who has access to see, edit, or do what with said data sets, as well as define a workflow at the bottom. In this case, we have 2 points of workflows. We have a validator and somebody that's going in and actually enriching, choosing that golden record from our standpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and click cancel here. Let's go ahead and click into the application just to showcase what this would look like. So again, very similar UI to what you saw in data preparation.
Well, I'd say differently. This looks identical to the first one, doesn't it?
It's very identical. You're going to have, as you move between the columns, a set of functions and tasks that you can apply depending on the type that we've identified, the different names of the fields, as well as the semantic type that we've identified.
And so now the user this steward doesn't have to go through and target their data. They just get it presented to them, the ones that are problems.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Let me go ahead and click on the task button, because that's actually you working within the tasks or the data sets. There we go. Now you can actually see the work I've done from here. So this would be the UI that you would come into. Again, as I click between columns, you can see the tasks and the functions update. You can also see the different analytics that we apply to this. From here, I can expand, and you can see that I've actually sourced, as I expand, the record sets from different points back in the job. So when we did these in-flight transformations, I also added a source so we could identify where the record of truth that we really want to use is, and maybe even identify potential data sets that we might want to go in and update in a pipeline down the path, or downstream or upstream, if you will. From here, I can come in and select, as you see, this is highlighted, the record of truth or the records that I would like to apply. And you can actually mix and match, so you don't have to be stuck with one record set. You can choose different ones as you'd like. I can also click on the clock, and this is the auditing capability we talked about that shows what records I picked or what I've done over time on that particular record. And then I can also come in and lock this, meaning that all the changes are completed, and I can assign this task down the workflow path from our perspective. From here, we've got a couple different decisions we can make. So let's say this workflow for this particular data set is completed. And now we want to actually do something with this. I'm going to showcase a secondary job that can go in, extract those data sets out from data stewardship. And again, this is all being done automated, and this is built out as a data engineer, where I can extract that data out, do transformations or really whatever I'd like within a Talon job, and then ultimately land that in our Snowflake destination if you'd like, and even go back to source systems or really wherever you'd like and land data into the target or targets of your choice. Once this is completed, the second part of the workflow of this job will go in and remove those data sets out, so you don't actually have to do any cleanup or removal of data sets. This workflow will be constantly updating as you built it out and automate it within Talon. So from here, this will allow you to basically create a life cycle where you're able to extract data from 3 disparate sources, like we said, the customer 360 program, leverage assets in a nonlinear way. At the same time, you're pulling this data, get their input, and then also create an automated pipeline to extract that data out via data stewardship, land it into your data warehouse of choice, and also leverage assets within data preparation and even apply those within your job to, again, take data quality within an organization to the next level.
So at this point, basically, we've taken all of the data, we've cleansed it, we've got it all ready. So now we're going to land it into the best of all worlds, Qlik. But you can put it anywhere because now it's in your data warehouse. You could again send it into your AutoML. You could send it into whatever other reporting solution you have.
Exactly. And there is even an additional capability within Talon. Let's say you wanted to open up APIs for customers or even internal use. You could actually create an API on top of that within Talon, depending on the offering you got, to even create your own APIs, test them, spec them, develop them, and make those available externally as well.
That is an awesome target for us. So now that we've got data landed in our data warehouse, now we're ready to analyze it, right? So Igor, you ready?
Absolutely. So let me share my screen. So we saw some like problematic data set or different data sets being clean, transform, combine, and then we have a final data set, and then we can load into Qlik just like we used to do, just like any data source that we have available. But now all of that scripting, all of that ETL process that we used to do in Qlik now was leveraged to Talon, and then we can simply use that data set to build our application and do things that we are already familiar with. So consuming that data, the very data set that Robert just showed, actually the output of that the process that was clean, that was validated, and then we trust this data, and then we can report it. So then we can leverage the data set ready to be used for the Qlik developers and for the Qlik users. And we can do things we are already familiar in the Qlik world. We can do our charts, our KPIs, maps, our time series, so everything. You know what else? What we can do? Our ML. We can use the data set and feed our ML to both train the model, so we can then train the module to find the correct value for our target field. And also we can use that process to further predict in the data set that comes in the future. So this is all the things that were, all of the data available that was then trained in AutoML. And this is great because if you work with AutoML before or any machine learning software, you know that it requires that you provide not one data module, but one single data file. So then most of their work in AutoML currently, it's done by basically combining different tables, making sure they link correctly, and then providing one flat table in the form of a file that we can then use to predict our target, one more time, and then to make our predictions. So now my work as Qlik developer, as a data scientist, is much simpler because the data is ready for me to use. So that's basically is a teamwork, as we mentioned at the beginning, and without the need of an actual data engineer, we have all of this work done, and the data is ready for us to use. So there we go. The work was so well done that I don't have much to say. Is basically we just use the data and build the applications and models.
Because I think what you're saying, Igor, is basically Talent has done all the work to get the data prepared. So Qlik just has to target that data and present it for our analytics.
Absolutely.
Very, very cool.
And
Kurt?
just randomly target.
Random targets. Targets everywhere.
I'm glad you said it, because I was about to transition and just say the word. So listen, we're wrapping up. I don't have any more fancy slides to share. You just get to see this wonderful mess of a sweater and lights that I'm wearing. But we hope that the last 38 minutes was helpful in kind of peeling back the curtain between for Qlik's newest acquisition on the data integration side, Talent. And hopefully we've talked about targets enough. Hopefully, if you're on the West Coast, maybe we've talked about them too much because it's a little early for all that. But so here's what I always say as we kind of wrap up. Your account manager, Qlik, and Talent pre-sales engineers, as well as IPC Global, are here to have continued conversations, do a deep dive with you. Listen, what we understand is everyone has data, and I've been learning most of us are kind of struggling with some level of data integration, which can include the data integrity and governance that we talked about. And that's where Talent comes into play. So simply put, kind of as I like to summarize kind of the data integration side, we know a lot of people on here. Some people have some of the data integration side. Some of you may even have Talent, but a lot of you are kind of Qlik analytics legacy customers, which is awesome. We love that. But simply put, what we're trying to do here and some of what we said is we can get and or capture the data from any source. We can deliver it to any target. Then when delivered, we can have a process to allow our customers to get that data in an analytics and AI ready data state so it's easily consumable. And that last sentence is really the transform part. So really put, we capture, right? We deliver, right? And then we transform. So you may still be sitting here as we kind of prepped some of this earlier today, and I was kind of coming up with the ending. You may still be sitting here saying, I'm not totally sure how this and what you showed me fits into my specific organization and how it works within Qlik and with the other tools that we have. The bottom line is we can't tackle every instance for each of you in this meeting, right? That's not the goal of the webinar, right? But what I want to encourage you to do, because we've been doing this with legacy Qlik customers lately, as we've been making these, they're asking questions. They said, can you come and talk to us? We want to lay out what we have. We want to lay out how we're using Qlik, and we want to see, like, are we missing something? Is there a way that we can move our data faster? Is there a way that we have a better handle on integrity? Is there a better way that we can govern it? Do we need cleanliness? Do we need all those different things? And in most cases, the answer is yes. But we want to work with you to understand kind of where you're at in that process and make those suggestions to you and help you start to kind of roadmap. So if you're sitting here going like, I got it, but I don't totally get it, that's where we want to ask for that next meeting, that next 30-minute meeting to start talking about those things with you so that we can help you explore this on your own and see how it might be a good fit. If you need to leave, we totally understand. We want to thank you for joining us. So Target, one more toast. But if you can hang out for a few more minutes, we're going to move into questions and I'll kind of moderate them and then pick on people to answer. And again, I'll do a reminder. If you have not, submit your crazy ugly sweater picture, do that in the chat, and then we'll pick a winner tomorrow, but it has to be submitted in the chat. So feel free to use the chat for your question. And then when we call on you, you can kind of come off mute if we need to clarify it. But go ahead with questions. We got Robert, we got the team here. We'd love to answer them for you in the next 15 to 20 minutes. And if there's no questions, we just assume that it was so good, we're going to get an email tomorrow saying we're ready to buy this thing. So ask your questions. It always takes a brave first soul to ask a question in the chat or come off mute. Nobody. You guys crushed it.
Robert.
Carla, you don't have a question? Just calling people out on the screen. Oh, there you go. Mark kind of asked a question. So kind of looking at the roles listed in what Robert had shared, kind of what's the representation on this call from each role? Like we know some of you and some of you we don't know. Kind of did what we said make sense? Does this fit into kind of what you guys are thinking and kind of what your roles are? You can throw your role in the chat if you would like, just so we kind of know where people are at in their thought process on this. Wow, we crushed this one. We crushed. All right. How does this fit into the AI effort that companies are going through? Oh, and Lauren, thanks for adding in business analyst. So I'll go back to Alex's question. How does this fit into the AI effort that companies are going through? I don't know, Robert, if you want to add to that, or Jeff, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I can add a couple thoughts to that. We've had actually this discussion quite a bit internally, and as you get into AI and train models and set them up, you really need to have trusted and high quality data because, again, going back to the term that Kurt mentioned or that I mentioned earlier, WYSIWYG, drink twice, everyone. If your data is not good, going into the model, then you're going to get a bad result out of the model. And there's been several examples of companies facing, embarrassing issues because they trusted an AI model, but it didn't render the results they wanted. So it's really good to have a foundational, data quality initiative within your organization to make sure data quality and the quality of your data is as high as possible.
Yeah, your model. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going to go through it. I agree with what Robert said there, because in order to have a good outcome from your AI initiative, you need to have that good quality data, because AI is no better than the data you put into it. If you put garbage in, it's going to give you an answer, but it won't be complete and accurate that you want to. Igor?
Yeah, all the machine learning modules, the supervised one, they train on the data you provide. And if the data has bad quality, or if you're missing data because you haven't integrated with some other tables, then you're missing information, then your module is no good. So that plays a big part on AI.
So Lewis asked a question. And he kind of said, so say you've been a Qlik customer for a long time. I'm already using the Qlik layering QVD best practices for L1, L2, and L3. How could I still leverage talent? And I would assume, Igor, maybe I'm gonna bring you in and maybe Jeff to think about that.
Well, my first inclination on this is I think you're in a beautiful situation because you have your business rules defined in your layers. What you're going to be able to do is now operationalize it so you can get to that real-time level and then continue to enhance those as you have new data sets that maybe come into your portfolio. So the business rules you've got documented in a very good case. I've actually proposed in many times that when you start exercising and going into this real-time data capturing and modeling, is using Qlik's scripting to kind of prove out those rules. And so I think you're in a beautiful situation to move on to a talent solution.
Excellent. Also, as the second part of that question was target was the word. So anybody else? I know some people on this call. I don't have a problem calling them out. I'm tagging some people in the chat to see if they have any questions. So.
How did I know that you were going to call me out, Kurt?
So
actually,
listen,
I really
we send you alcohol, but if you show up and you're one of my customers, I'm gonna call you.
Yeah. The AI one was actually a really, really enlightening question because that's something that we're looking at. So that's my big takeaway from this is I know that going forward we're going to be looking at just how AI can help our business. But if we can, like you said, feeding it good data is very important. So definitely appreciate how that has a knock-on effect downstream.
Mhm.
Nice. That wasn't a question, but it was a comment. I'll take it.
It was a
I'll take
comment.
it. I'll take it.
Listen, there's been a lot of targeting happening.
Oh, nice. Well done. Listen,
Good man.
if the one of the presenters says targeting, then maybe that's 2 drinks. Anybody
I
else?
guess we have 2 new questions.
Nope.
One from Louis,
Good.
one from Mark.
Qlik training used to have design and developer training. What does Talend have like this for beginners? It's a great
I
question.
can take that one.
Thanks, Robert.
Talent has a very rich and deep learning platform we call Talent Academy. Now, what that name's going to look like post Qlik or in the future, I don't know. But we serve this particular service both internally and externally, meaning that I actually, when I started Talent, didn't have a lot of experience with Talent ETL or Studio. So I had to cut my teeth with this learning platform, and it is amazing what you can do with it. There's tracks for certifications. There's accelerators in it, meaning that we have what's called solution templates, where you don't necessarily have to know everything about Talent or from the start. You can go in, download one of these solution templates for whatever scenario you might want, load that into Talent Studio, and have rich documentation and maybe get you 75% of the way there from a best practice and its Talent standpoint. There's also VMs with certain courses. So if you wanted to go in and practice a certain development or style of job or a different scenario within a job, you can spin up a VM and apply that without even going in and working on your data set to start with. Very, very rich solution. And then on the Gartner side, do you want me to take that now, Kurt, or you want me to hold off on that one?
Go for it.
Okay.
The question on the chat was going to be, where is Talent in the Gartner Magic
So
Quadrant?
Gartner's been a leader in the data integration sector for many, many years. I don't have the exact mapping up right now, but we align very well where in spaces that the equivalent spaces where like QDA or ClickSense align from a Gartner standpoint.
Excellent. And then Mark, getting a little spicy here with the Talent pricing thing. He said, what we saw today kind of how's Talent price. So as the sales guy, I'll answer this. The best bet to talk about Talent pricing is to connect with your account manager. And if you weren't aware, part of when we did the acquisition and things moved around, whoever is your Qlik account manager, whether it's QDI or QDA, and if you haven't talked to them in a few months, shame on them, right? How would you probably have known about this invite? But whoever your Qlik account manager is now the person that can sell everything data analytics, everything Qlik data integration, and now Talent as we're running it in. So they'd be the best person to talk about pricing, because there's way more questions that we're going to get into. What exactly do you need? Is there entry level DI? Is there more of the total data management platform that is a part of Talent? And it would just kind of be more scoping that we would need to do on that. And then Lewis is asking, how do I set up a more in-depth demo? Going back to what I shared when I started. Great question and great way to set me up for a target conversation. See what I did there? And I got to take a drink. Would be get in touch with IPC, who the folks are on here, your account manager, or if you don't know who that is, you can feel free to reach out to me. I can figure that out for you, and we'll set that up. We'll, like I said before, we would love to dig in and kind of understand more of how Qlik is being used now, some of your goals, and even talk through maybe some of the goals that could come from this to kind of dig in and do a bit more demo. I will explain. I will say this is generally how these work, is we kind of do a technical call to understand a little bit more, and kind of make those decisions, and then we move into sometimes 2 to 3 calls to move into the larger, longer demo piece to get into it. But we want to really understand everything first so that we can have a custom demo for you to understand and kind of talk through how it would work in your environment. Also, I don't have epilepsy, but I feel like these light bulbs are like blinking in my eye, and I'm like, so that has nothing to do with how many times we've said target. Nothing to do with that. Awesome. There's some question. I mean, there's a question about Q4 promos. Yes, there's Q4 promos for Talent. Again, reach out to your account manager. If you have budget, I mean, this is the easiest way. Let's be honest with everybody, right? It's the 14th of December. The Q4 promos run to the end of December. If you have leftover budget and you have the ability to sign, we can get you a great price on Talent by the end of the year. But I also know that we are coming down to the wire on that situation. But yes, there are some Talent promos that we're doing at the end of the year. So if you're interested and you think this would be a great fit, don't wait. Let's jump on it. We might be able to land something for you in a nice spot for the end of the year. All right, everything got quiet. It's just IPC asking me questions now. So, where did I get this sweater? At the store, a store near the mall. So,
That's what I was wondering. So
yeah,
good.
store
Glad
near
you
the mall.
answered.
These were just floating around in the office, and I grabbed them. So, there you go. Awesome. Is that a Christmas blanket, Jeff? Yeah.
It's a shawl, man. It's good.
A Christmas shawl. It's a shawl. There you go. Mark is asking, what is
It's a manly shawl.
What is my middle name? If I start sharing my middle name, then people will do research and then people will find that I may or may not have songs on iTunes. So I'm not going to share that.
Oh,
There you go. Now you know. That's all I have. Listen, I don't ever self-promote, but follow some of these guys. Follow Robert on LinkedIn. Follow some of the guys, Jeff and Igor on LinkedIn. They're posting great stuff about Qlik constantly. I will self-promote. Feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. I'm posting videos often, some with these guys and other people, customer stories about what's going on. It's a great place to make sure you're staying connected, and we're trying to put out content that's helpful and getting you good answers and some behind-the-scenes looks of what's coming. So that's kind of my last piece. So, and thank you for that, Chrissy. Always looking to seeing our friendly faces. So thanks, everybody. I think we're going to wrap it there.
thank you.
Hope you have it. If you haven't gotten all your shopping done, make sure you hit Target tonight to get the rest of it done. See what I did.
Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Have a great
Very
night,
good.
everybody.
Happy
Bye-bye.
holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Bye bye. Happy
you.
holidays.
Bye-bye.
Target.
Thank you.
Good job there.
I missed the judge.